And here we go. So for what was recently released, and those of you that did the customer success boot camp, we talked about this in pretty good detail with some interesting use cases. So I appreciate everybody sharing there. Inside of recommendations, we now have the ability to tag. So you can see that I've got the status at the top of the tiles, but we now have, you can see a priority as well. So that priority is a new tag. So when you're inside of a recommendation, you can create tags on the fly. Greg, I loved yours. So you and John, I think, were the two talking. I liked both of those. I think one of them was, this was an insurance requirement, right? One of you mentioned that yesterday. I've got my notes here, so let me see. We had security and insurance. And then we had, cost control. That was you, Greg. You talked about making it a decision versus a deadline type of tag. So you were tagging them so you could see, I need to have a decision by this date versus this is a deadline, right? My 2012 servers, we don't get to push this to a different quarter type of thing. So I think this is interesting. Would love folks to shout out in the chat if you have other ideas of what you might be interested in using tags for inside of recommendations. But yesterday, like I said, folks were mentioning using it to say, this is a security recommendation. So you could filter by all the security recommendations. This is an insurance compliance, right? We went through the assessment with you. We know your insurance provider is going to ask for this. And if you're, aiming for cybersecurity liability insurance, these are the recommendations you need to accept. And I thought those were some good use cases. Other folks, of course, have picked priority, that type of thing. So you can tag them. You can control the tags in the account settings, or you can just create them on the fly inside the recommendation itself. The other pieces that have just come out are associated with the scheduler and the business review. So hundreds of you, quite literally, have watched Alex and Kyle do their last two webinars on KPIs. So the first one was for account managers. The one this week was for customer success, and the one on the 18th is for VCIOs.
And we've actually decided we're going to do a fourth one, which will be how to manage those humans when you have dedicated individuals in each seat versus when you have multiple people wearing the same hat. There's enough interest in that we're going to do a fourth one. So it's going to be a whole series.
And I think that's important too, as folks scale, right? You're first wearing 19 hats and then 16 hats, and the goal being aiming for one hat. And what do you do with your 8 KPIs along the way? So some of the conversations that we have had, especially in the customer success boot camp, is how folks can now use the tiles at the top to drive some of those conversations. We've had many an enhancement requests that has said, I really want to be able to say, how many business reviews have I completed? And you can control the calendar. So last quarter, how many business reviews were completed? Alex, we've done terribly with our imaginary clients, and we delivered 0 last quarter. So we're going to have to go have some imaginary meetings retroactively.
I'm setting the bar low. Yeah,
how many are
crush that quota next quarter?
How many are past due, skip, canceled? But remember that the other piece of the release is you can now associate an account manager to an individual business review. And we've added a meeting cycle as well. And you can filter this list. So of my quarterly business reviews, how many of those were actually completed versus skipped, versus how many of my annual business reviews have been completed, skipped, etc. I'm going to dive into one of the business reviews. Let me go back and I'll grab Creative Designs, our most popular imaginary client. And inside the business review itself, again, you can now grab an account manager. And then if you have customer success, so if you have the customer success module, you are now able to create your own business review standards. So you can start scoring a business review. If you didn't check out our Friday weekly workshop on momentum, we talked about how there's the whole bit about inertia. An object at rest stays at rest until a force is acted upon it. And if you think about, if you're not having positive strategic business conversations with your partners, what is the force that's acting on your relationship with the client? It's a breach, it's a ransomware attack, it's an asset that's, no longer helping them be productive, or something going down. So that means anything that's changing the inertia that client has is a negative impact. So what are the positive impacts? And that would be business reviews, those client engagement types of things. So if you want to gain momentum with your client, you want to make sure you're having those meetings that can gain some positive momentum. And in the conversation we have had, these were the 4 questions that folks wanted to answer. But again, you can create these questions for yourself. I'll show you how to do that. But the 4 that we talked about, and really on the call yesterday, folks really kind of thought these made sense. Did this decision maker show? So one of the things that we found is maybe you've been doing quarterly business reviews, truly quarterly, for a year now, but you had the office manager and you didn't have the decision maker in the room. And so that in fact leaves your relationship in jeopardy. Did we meet on cadence? So we say we're doing quarterly business. I see the head shake. We said we were doing quarterly business reviews, but they slip every quarter. So we really haven't made that a priority. 2 of the most important, did recommendations get accepted? So just because they're paying your monthly recurring revenue doesn't mean that they're gaining momentum. So one of our partners told us about the fact that they had churn, and when they went back and looked at the client that had churned, they in fact hadn't purchased an additional project from them in well over a year. So even though they were paying the managed service amount, they had not really invested in improving their structure, system, and stack, which brings to the last question: did stack alignment improve? So those are the 4. These get scored. I'll show you what's coming out, not in this weekend, but next weekend's release. But I did promise to show you where you can set these up. If you have customer success, you should have in the Business Review Manager tab, in the top right, you can toggle between settings and standards. You can delete these questions if you don't like them, edit them, or add new ones. And lastly, inside that business review, you now have the ability to link a recommendation to a specific business review, as well as link, of course, anything from the report locker to a business review. So we're going to be able to track this over time so that you can start looking at stale recommendations. We have people all of the time talk to us on demos about what I want to do is be able to show my client that they've declined my MFA recommendation quarter after quarter, and that we've got to draw the line here. Plus, if you have a lot of stale recommendations, you're not gaining momentum with that client. So before I show what's coming out next weekend, any comments, questions, complaints, or criticisms about these features?
We've got a lot of questions, and I think we missed something in rolling some of this out. John brought up a great point. Like if we put someone in as a tenant admin, or even as a standard tenant user, they're able to create new tags. We probably should have the ability in security groups for people to block
turn that off.
so
That does remind me, these business review standards, regardless of security role, will not show for external users. So if you turn this on for one of your customers and say that they are an external user, they won't see that regardless of what you turn on for them. So there's that safety check. But Alex, you might want to put that tag one in.
Mark's already working on it. He's a step ahead of us.
Okay.
Was there a bunch of questions flew up there? Did anybody else have something that we missed? I think Mark covered on this as we were running through. Can you give me and my team more hours in the day to complete the post QBR process?
Well,
save you a lot of time in preparing for them and use that time to complete the after the fact. I mean, the after the fact should get quick if you start to use the tool to do it. We're adding more and more functionality there so that you can create a note here, create a ticket from it. I get what you're saying, Scott. It's a lot of freaking work, but we're trying to.
But it's good work, right? I mean, the results of all this, of course.
Yeah. No, and keep telling us what we need to do to streamline it further. I mean, these are you guys' recommendations turning into product.
I'm particularly fond of John's. I'm thinking about how out of control tags can get with misspellings and the kind originality. That's a fantastic.
Yep.
All right. I think we got the rest of those questions.
What about account manager? Can you clarify? Because within the CS module, we would set account managers through the grouping. That's unrelated to this. Is there any thought of maybe consolidating that so a single company has a single account manager?
Yes, absolutely, there is. As a matter of fact, in some of the reporting, they've started to try to define which of those would work. Right now, this individual business review, so you can assign a meeting to a human. That's not the same meeting in customer success, but what we want to do is create so that the default would be the one that you have already assigned to it. But we need to give you the flexibility, because the reality of it is Greg may be the account manager, but you may go to a business review and need to be assigned to it. So is that the right thinking, that you would want it pre-populated with what's assigned to the company and then adjust from there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And Joe, do we view a stack alignment the same thing as alignment, or does it specifically refer to clients purchasing services from our product stack? Yeah, go ahead.
Go. I was just gonna say that's a tough one, and I think the answer is one that you guys have to wrestle to the ground at your own MSP. I would include best practices alignment in both of those, and not let the word stack get you off track and thinking about something that it's not. Well, when we get into the client success module, there is a stack alignment component, and the majority of it is around, are they buying the products and services? There's no reason that in all places in the platform, you can't start saying, hey, this is the minimum requirement in MFA, even if it's not a product I sell them, even if we use something that's baked in, or, just having a couple of base policies and procedures. No, those aren't stack alignment, but they're not stack, but they're alignment with our standards and best practices. So don't forget to think about those things. The customer who doesn't care about a security awareness training policy or an acceptable use policy or a chat GPT and AI policy, that we should start having that conversation with our clients. The folks who don't want to have that conversation probably don't see as much value in what you do and the conversations you're having with them, and are natively by that less sticky. So the more that you can get them to dive in on those things, the better of a client that you've got.
Tim, I know you'd like that policy comment. I'm sure you're working up a chat GPT one right now.
Yeah.
So one last thing, I'm going to show you the first step into an insights report. Oh, Matt, I like that. I'll take note of that. So the first step into reporting around all of the business review inside of customer success, not this weekend. I don't know if you know this, but our head developer's last name means rabbit in Italian. And so I always tease him that on Easter weekend, he's out busy hiding Easter eggs. And so we can't have him. I just wouldn't ask our developers to do a release on this weekend. But I'm going to click into Insights. So here's the new report. And in this report, so this is the dev site. So I would not expect data to land here yet for sure, but maybe if I go to last, let's see what they've been working on today. Nope. So in this report, you will be able to have all of the information that we just talked about, all of those questions that we talked about, available in the report. Did the decision maker show? Did we meet on cadence? Did recommendations get accepted? Did stack alignment improve, etc.? And as usual, you can now build your own version of the report. So I could take off any of these columns I'm not interested in to build out the report that we have, and then I could filter by an account manager, etc. Again, I'm still in the demo site or the development sites. We haven't populated it with data yet, but to be able to build out the report of scoring where these columns will be color coded, did stack alignment improve, green or yellow or red, right? And how we fall on, did the decision maker show, to really start tracking toward scoring our business reviews and getting momentum for our clients. And we're pretty excited about that.
And we'll be able to show you that functional in another week or two when we got some data on it. We'll circle back and review that one again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Especially for those of you who with more than one person in an account management seat, this will start to show you performance and let you get folks a little bit competitive with each other. Sorry, Marty, I didn't mean to step on you there.
No, all good, all good. I am going to stop sharing because we really do have some bigger fish to fry this week, which is hard to believe because when we announce releases, they're always popular calls, but we have an even bigger release to announce today. So we are excited to welcome Dan Wensley, our new CEO, as a ScalePad proper to the call today. Thanks for the claps in the chat. Dan,
Well,
welcome to the party.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. What a great way to kick it off, Marty. I mean, we'll talk a lot about anything this community and those on this call want to discuss. But first and foremost, I think this observation of the events that Marty and Alex and the team put on for their partner community is part of one of the reasons why we're so excited about welcoming LCI and the team into ScalePad. I was just going back and forth over Slack with our COO talking about the success of this, the product, and even the product feature and functionality that was highlighted today is some of the incremental value that we're so excited about in bringing lifecycle insights into ScalePad and under the umbrella. So first and foremost, thank you for that introduction and thank you for that experiment, because I think it was a great, again, testament to why we're here today. So with that, a quick little history, and again, I want to keep this as open and communicative and a conversation as we can, but I'll give everybody sort of the high level background. My name's Dan Wensley. As Marty said, I became CEO of the then Warranty Master back in June of 2019. I've enjoyed an incredible 20 plus year career in this IT services industry channel specifically, really kicking off in the late 90s, early 2000s with MCI WorldCom here in Canada. And I, again, been privileged to be in emerging tech, which has pushed the IT services community forward. It's been humbling to be in the early part of days of the managed services evolution as we went from solution provider to MSP in the RMM and the PSA days. Went on to run level platforms for about 7 or 8 years with names you would know in the industry. Very proud of that group and where they've gone on to be incredibly successful. Rob Ray, Alicia Vetter, and many, many others. Joined Passportal with Colin Knox, who now runs Gradient. That was acquired by Enable back in the day. And we competed with the companies a little bit at that time called IT Glue. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. And it was after I exited Passportal that I got a call from the founders of then Warranty Master. And to be quite honest, I went in with a bit of a chip on my shoulder. I said, gee, I don't know. I've been in the early days of RMM and PSA and knew Arnie Bellini when he was doing installs for PSA and pretty proud of the evolution the entire industry had gone through over that period of time. So to step into hardware warranties didn't overly excite me, to be blunt, until I uncovered the technology that Warranty Master was built on and the foundation and the vision that the founders and I could share with where we could take that business and where we could take that technology. And what you're seeing today, this is almost it's certainly not the end. It is certainly not the culmination, but this acquisition and this partnership with LCI is really the pinnacle of that early vision we had. We acquired, after changing our name to ScalePad from Warranty Master and starting to build out the framework and the foundation. Somebody said in the commentary, pad to scale. That's exactly where the name came from. We were quite diligent in when we were rebranding and renaming the company that it did come from a place of what we believed we were going to be doing for partners in the community moving forward. So the name comes from pad or platform or place of stability or fundamentals to help partners scale their business and become operationally more efficient using new technologies and sort of the 2.0 vision of the MSP space. We did that relatively successfully. We then acquired Backup Radar after accepting a minor round of funding. We've been very fiscally responsible as an organization. I used to joke with our board that I'd only seen our EBITDA number on a whiteboard in my 20-year career, and until I got into our business, we're very fiscally responsible and operate maturely. But we're funded a little bit, and that allowed us to buy and acquire Backup Radar, which was an exciting piece of technology. And we spent the next year ensuring that we could not only adopt the new application, but we could bring it in under the new structure of the company. We could add incremental value to both of the products. And it really was the tipping point for that when we allowed feature and functionality inside our Lifecycle Manager product to allow to benefit Backup Radar, where we could take the asset and the data and the depth and breadth of integrations that Warranty Master remains famous for, and now with Lifecycle Manager, and share data that provided incremental value to the Backup Radar solution, which has been incredibly powerful on its own. But one of the things it couldn't do was identify, of the tens of millions of assets we have under management, what asset maybe didn't have a backup applied. So as Backup Radar is able to monitor, think of it as an RMN solution for monitoring your backups across 300 different integrations, it couldn't tell if a backup wasn't applied, and that could be a missed failure that the MSP would be on the hook for. So we added that feature and functionality. And then the floodgates opened up. We could actually go ahead and execute on our expanded, what we call swim lanes, or areas of expertise where we think there is further ability to automate, standardize, strengthen the operational maturity of MSPs and the service and value they deliver to their clients, and increase their profitability, their operational maturity. And our next acquisition was Cognition 360 and the business intelligence stack, currently integrated with ConnectWise and does some incredible things. And then with Control Map in the business continuity security space, again, really centered around automation, standardization, strengthening client relationships, operational maturity, and increasing. But what I didn't realize even at the time, it was IT Nation 2019, so that would have been November of 2019. As I said, I joined in June of 2019. I was told of a booth down the hall from where we were called Lifecycle Insights, and it was, hey, that's a customer of ours, Alex Farling, and he's gone off and built this competitive product.
That's not true. I didn't build anything.
I
was just
sorry.
present.
But yes. So my team were all very, what do we do? I said, well, I'm going to go talk to them. And I walked over and introduced myself, and Alex told me, yep, I'm a partner and love what Warranty Master is doing. However, their vision of, frankly, a lot of what I saw today in Marnie's presentation was the value where they could take asset lifecycle management and make that connection better with the customer, and empower the MSP to really have better QBRs, the VCIO, what they've done with the CSAT tools and success. And to be blunt, it was on our roadmap and our vision, but nobody executed it better than this team. So, and again, just through openness, and Alex and I did a call with a community group this morning together. We share that vision, that openness, whether we were going to be competitive long-term or not. Having a relationship in the industry and the marketplace was paramount to mutual success. I remain good friends with the Enable guys and the Kaseya people and all of that. And if I hadn't been, I wouldn't be where I am today. But I will give them full credit that when we started to have these conversations and realize that there was some absolute synergies and opportunities to work together, and putting these two applications together ultimately is in the best interest of the industry. It was very gracious to continue those conversations, and we were absolutely elated when we came to the ability to bring us together and start this journey that we started literally yesterday. I guess it's officially. When it happened. Yes. So anyway, with that, it's probably a longer winded introduction than anybody was expecting, but very happy and open to have any questions answered or any areas of clarity that anybody would like.
And they'll be surprised. I mean, Alex and I are known for keeping it super short and rarely chatting anyway. So not true at all.
Yeah, that's a thing.
So Dan answered some hard questions this morning, so feel free to ask. We know you've got them. I know several of you asked me questions yesterday on the call, but if you want to hear and see if Dan contradicts anything I say, feel free to shout it out again.
Let's do a test. Yes.
Yeah, it's
great.
like a test.
We claim to be aligned. Let's find out.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely.
So I'm never shy, Dan. Jeff Borello from Andromeda Technology.
Hey, Jeff.
Probably less of a question and just more of a comment.
Please.
We're still fairly new to Lifecycle as far as some of the other folks, but I think one of the things that we've really enjoyed, and I didn't realize how small the team was, but because Marnie and Alex are so visible, and the amount of education and webinars and shows and everything they do, it's been really, really enjoyable interacting right with the founders and the head, right? And it was a very tight, small feeling experience. I love the fact that there's now a bigger company behind it. You get more developers. I get the plus side, but I'm hoping that you guys can figure out a way to keep that same intimate feeling that we got from Marnie and Alex as they become part of a bigger company.
Yeah, thank you. Great question, great comment. And our single goal is to do nothing but expand on that. They absolutely have done. I've been part of companies from roughly 20 people up to 300 or 400. And what I've loved about this industry from day one, it is all about mutual, high tide raises all boats. I founded an organization in the early days called MSP Partners that CompTIA acquired. Kaseya was the biggest customer who wrote the biggest check for that. They were my largest competitor. I was still running level platforms. To answer the question directly, we look to do nothing but amplify that. It's why I hired Eric Torres from Rob Ray at Datto. Rob Ray and I go back, I think the community we built at Level, I would put up against anybody. Luis Giraldo, who's our CXO, who was at Enable and IT Glue, former MSP owner as well. Our founders are MSP owners. It's the one notch in my belt I don't have. I've never run an MSP, but I have been in the community. I will personally do at least 15 to 20 shows a year, and couldn't agree more. Our partner advisory council, we did a call with them the day before release. We're excited to bring in LCI partners into our partner advisory council. That's run by Ola, who you may know from Enable. She was with us at Passportal. So couldn't agree more. Look to amplify it, do more. We literally spend millions of dollars going to events and are out in the community. And our partner advisory council, I've given the mandate to grow it to 100. So we were 68, I believe, on the partner advisory council last year. And with the new acquisitions, we want to go to 100. So I hope to continue that. We plan to continue that. We plan to amplify that. And if we don't, Dan at scalepad.com at any time. The board will, I'd put my cell phone number, which I'll give you, is 416-894-5566. Text me, call me, or just send me an email at any time. But I know we will deliver against it.
You're going to fit in all right here since mine's in my email signature. So,
so is mine. So is
yeah,
mine.
So,
yes.
Dan, they're throwing softballs. I don't know how much you paid Michael to be in the crowd here today, but he asks, he says he's interested to see what this impact has on clients that have subscriptions with both companies. I don't know how much you paid for that softball, but why don't we give you that one to knock out of the park real quick?
Listen, yeah, this is a very important one. We're lowering the price, to be blunt. We are putting there are a lot of partners who use both products, and we are lowering the price for those partners. We have immediately lowered the investment made by new partners who are coming in. We train our entire partner development organization of roughly 35, 40 people, and trained them all this week. I'm still in Vancouver working with that team. So yeah, we've lowered the price. We know there's some overlap, but the amount of incremental value, what Lifecycle Manager does so incredibly well, Alex and Marty were talking immediately, like, can we get the lookups and how did you get the integrations done with SonicWall and that kind of thing. So there is some overlap, but there is areas of these products that really excel. And the vision is to bring them together and bring them in at the best price. I'm also excited that if you haven't read already, we announced 2 additional services. Our partners here at Lifecycle Manager did $10 million in warranty extension sales last year. 10 million, that's revenue of our partners. Since then, we've announced 2 additional services. One is workstation assurance, which was the #1 feature request from our partners to put just, breakage insurance on workstations in the marketplace. We have done that. And the one I'm most excited about is asset disposal. So we have automated, standardized, and securely provided our partners the ability to dispose of the hardware assets that you're pulling out of your businesses. As equipment ages, you have a successful QBR, you go, yep, we're changing this whole fleet. Our partners today are retiring 125,000 workstations every month. That's fact. 2% of growth going into landfills in the United States. 2% is made up of IT equipment. It accounts for 2/3 of the toxic waste going into landfills. So we not only want to provide a more sustainable program for partners to retire the equipment you're selling successfully during the QBR solution, but we're also partnered with Veritree, and we are planting a tree for every either extended warranty, so it's keeping that piece of hardware out of a landfill and in an environment longer, or one that is safely retired with a NIST 800 standard, all process driven. So we're excited about that, and LCI partners will have the ability to get onto that as well.
I had a quick question. You brought up asset disposal. I'm
Yes.
curious how you might help us around data destruction certification as well, right? Because right now our process is we pull the hard drives out, we call the local recycling company, they pick up the shells, and then we destroy the hard drives, right? And then they pick up destroyed hard drives later or whatever. So
all included in, yeah, great question. All included in the service. You ship the unit as is, and you get a NIST certification of the wipe right back into the application. So it's all included as a part of the service.
I'm super excited about that one. I think it's a big gap. I'm with Brian. Like, we had a hard drive crusher in my office, and we used to have to figure out what to do with all the stuff, and it's just a huge pain in the ass. And we'd have a good company to come pick them up for a couple of weeks, and then they got to go back to rehab or something, and they just fall off the face of the earth, and we wouldn't be able to find anybody for another 6 months, and stuff would just pile up in the back room. And I think that one's huge, and the fact that you guys are planting trees to account for some of the waste is certainly.
We made an initial purchase. Right? Yeah, we made an initial purchase of 5,000 trees, and as of yesterday, we're at 5,447 trees planted. It's all going into reforestation in North America after the wildfires. I'll share the deck yesterday. So this is the program here. So we've already done 5,440 trees as of yesterday. This is available on our website. We're going to track the CO2 sequestered and the acres reforested as a part of the program. So excited about that one.
I don't know if you can see the chat. They're asking if the recycling service is offered globally, and what's the geographic limit?
It will be. It is US. The pilot or the initial launch is US only. Canada will absolutely be next, and we're already talking with some international partners. Veritree is global, so we've got that covered, and we're looking to roll that out as quickly as possible.
Awesome.
Don,
I see some questions around 1, 3, and 5 year plans, and I can tell all of you guys, like, as much as we would love to talk about that, this is just, so if you haven't been watching ScalePad's news, we were their 3rd acquisition announced this calendar year, and if you look at your calendars, that's a lot. 1, 3, and 5 year plans. Look, the one year plan is to keep the wheels on the bus and make sure that you guys don't have things, don't feel like the bus gets yanked out from under you while we figure out what the 3 and 5 year plans are. Obviously, Dan's got a graphic here that is the bigger thing, but there just aren't details at this point. There's just no way we can bring 3, 4 distinct businesses together with their own cultures and extrapolate the best from each of them, and do it in a rush. So for the short term, you're going to see a lot of what you're used to seeing. And as we go further, the immediate thing is make sure you guys get some cost relief if you're using multiple products across the suite. Make sure you have access to dedicated account managers, as Marnie and I can only wear so many hats in this world. So each of you will get assigned a dedicated account manager. That doesn't mean Marnie and I are off limits by no means, but you'll have somebody at your disposal. You can CC us, you can include us, whatever you need, but you will get a dedicated human who will help. Lots of things to come, not enough that we're ready to talk about 2 days after the announcement. And I don't mean to be coy with that. You guys know us. If you keep hanging out on these calls, we will tell you more every single week, but we'd rather get it right than get it early.
Hey, Dan, I have a quick question for you, Dave from AlexaNet. What sort of things was ScalePad going to be bringing into LCI? What kind of tools and integrations?
Yeah, great question. So I'll start with some of the resources. So as of yesterday, we're 174 employees. So we make an incredible investment, in development. Our CTO is the 3rd employee into Warranty Master. So we are a technology first organization. We believe a lot in the security of our own business, and we can't, if we're not operating effectively, and given the resources internally to help partners, that would be first. The second, as Alex just alluded to, we have a large investment in the partner development organizations. Again, I go back pretty far with Rob Ray. I brought him into the industry, and I showed our team when Datto a couple of years ago was getting absolutely raked through Reddit, and the complaint was they were moving the account managers around. And MSPs had developed such a reliance in that resource that they had this dedicated partner development manager who was educated and helpful and providing incremental value. And they were getting yelled at, not because their technology was bad or they missed a feature release or whatever, but they were taking away people. That's where we strive to be. We have a large investment in our success organization. Again, I've said today, even to Danish, our COO, I said, what Alex and Marnie and the team have been able to do as a team of 7 or 9 compared to what we have done, even with the resources we have things to learn from them. So you should expect more resources. You should expect more investment in the product. You should expect enhancements in all of those areas and making them work collaboratively together. So if there is an area to invest in to enhance what Lifecycle Insights has already done, I believe we've got line of sight on being able to add that without, to the earlier point, without breaking what made this business great and what made Warranty Master great in the early days, and level platforms and all of these others. I refuse to lose that. Having Alex and Marnie and Luis and Eric Torres and Ola and all of our team sort of out in the marketplace working with partners is the only way to succeed. Did I cover enough, Dave? Was there any specific area you were interested in, or?
Well, no, I see here on your product and market category, all the things you offer and stuff. So I just, that's covered it. And I know that as time goes on, we're gonna learn more. So
yeah.
Brian, you have a question?
Yeah, I haven't used your product since it was Warranty Master, and from what I remember, you pull in the info ultimately from RMM, right? And do lookups. We're actually looking at moving away from using an RMM with our clients and using something else, maybe Auvik. And I'm wondering, do you have anything that's agent-based to collect asset info? I know another product has their own kind of information collecting agent they use. And, are you always going to be reliant on RMMs to pull in asset information? I'm thinking as they go up market to enterprise, they're going to have, maybe they aren't using an RMM, they're using something else, but they want to be able to do asset management there. I'm just curious what flexibility there might currently be in gathering that data and what might be on the roadmap.
So what I can promise you is there'll be no deficiency in the ability to gather the data. I can assure you we will not build an agent. We have over, I believe it's 50 integrations right now, Brian. We are pulling from Auvik. our number one integration is actually IT glue. It's not even the RMM. We collect the most amount of data out of IT glue. It's the number one. We're with ServiceNow, so we've got a lot of very large MSPs who are servicing enterprise. So we're into ServiceNow. It's one of the core primary technologies of our platform is the data collectors. It's why Backup Radar can have 300 backup integrations, and new backup services are coming online every 5 seconds. We're able to very efficiently and quickly assign those. So the answer to the agent question is no, but I would suffice to say there'll be no deficiency in your ability if you were to move away from traditional RMM.
Yeah, and okay, that makes sense. I'm assuming you integrate with LineGuard.
We do.
Okay, yeah. All right, so there's plenty of flexibility to where we're not going to need an agent. I like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And that's the goal. We don't want to go add more to your risk profile, right? We want to be able to do what we do without overcomplicating your life and giving you one more thing to patch.
That's fair.
Yeah, data collection is at the core. One of the things that we can look to do across all of these businesses and all of these swim lanes, what Cognition 360 has done so incredibly well in business intelligence, but they were only able to accomplish it with ConnectWise because of the enormous lift of data and information, and they couldn't just go and do it with Autotask and all of the others. That's one of the core competencies we're going to bring to the table. So the data collection agent, we've all been around this business a long time. We've heard all the hype cycles. Do you remember the one that big data was going to be king and it was a little ahead of its skis? We really do see that being a part of this, that data ultimately is the most important, but how to take the business intelligence out of that data is actually the core functionality. Again, it was fun to show that what we could execute with Backup Radar and put the asset collector together with Backup Radar and show incremental value. We can do that. Control Map has got all of the frameworks around security and all of that, but there's data. Do you have the right software applied? Is the hardware locked down? Does it have backups applied to it? All of that can impact. Marnie, there's so much going on. I keep forgetting. We also we became SOC 2 compliant.
Oh yeah, there was that.
Month. Yeah, there was that. There was that. My third time becoming SOC 2 compliant, which is all encompassing for most businesses and was for us as well. But that was a side note announcement this week at our part. Oh yeah, by the way, we got SOC 2. But we're trying to, we are making our best effort to congeal all of this together and make it as not competitive, but as synergistic for partners moving forward. We really have a vision of a 2.0 version of the IT services industry.
On Control Map, you're talking about the idea of being able to grab artifacts from the tools we're using, right? To show proof.
No, it's more all of the security standards are loaded. Think of it as an RMM for security standards. It monitors and it provides the abilities. And what was interesting about that business is that they had a clear line of sight on the vision that the MSP could sell security, cybersecurity, certification and standards to their customers. What we quickly identified is the MSPs need to help first, and to set some standards inside and compliance standards inside the MSP is an enormous lift. I wouldn't wish SOC 2 on anybody. But Control Map immediately provides value most importantly, first and foremost, to the MSP themselves to get an understanding in a very automated, light lift type of way, whether it's GDPR or SOC 2 or ISO or whatever it is. It's a phenomenal technology. I know Alex and our service engineers have been the most excited about that technology since we've talked about it.
Well, the problem I found with compliance in our industry is that in order to do it right, you're really hiring data entry people and data analysis, right? If you can't automate some of the collection of artifacts to prove said controls being met, or if you can't monitor how many devices do or don't have this protection. So when I did a demo of Control Map, it seemed like they had a lot of that built in, right?
Exactly. You described it better than we have, to be honest.
Okay, that's great. All right.
We have 9 minutes left, so if you have any questions, make sure they're in the chat. Well, there you go. Jeff just put one in.
What is the question?
So will you be polling users that have both about how they would like to see the products integrated?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yes,
so
yeah,
we already
100%.
have a catalog of what we know folks ask us for, right? And part of the beauty of this is that we can now both build in the directions where we have strengths, but also the power of knowing where we did overlap and how we can make that stronger as one product moving forward.
Well, you know, there's a lot to be said for us not having to figure out whatever black magic you guys use to pick up Sonic Wall and HPE warranties and rebuild that. And you guys don't have to go back and I'm not supposed to say you guys anymore. But the former company, you know, nobody has to go back and build what each other were already working on. Right now, we get a set of developers that are just hammered on those 1,400 feature requests that you guys have in our system. Way more of those come to fruition as we get resources to after.
I am curious, if I could interrupt for just a second, would like to see a show of hands or say me in the chat when you read my email and I said we will have additional resources for more enhancement requests and you know who I'm talking to. How many of you think you were on that list? And I will tell you because there are many of you today in this chat that were on the list that I was specifically thinking about.
Yeah, it's. I heard I read through all the comments yesterday. We spent all day watching the commentary. I spoke to a few dozen partners myself, and one of the ones that I almost want to, I wish I would be asked openly is, somebody said, "Oh, well, this is taking away options for us, and this is taking away the chance to choose." And I couldn't disagree more. The fact is, yes, it is, but I couldn't disagree that that's a bad thing. The ability, if LCI continued on its own and we continued on our own, guess what we would have to do? We would start building each other's feature and functionality, and it's just it's a race to the bottom where you've got two options, but one's always going to be a little different. What we are most excited about is to put the incremental values together and then to build on those. Exactly to that question. This is how we see this working together. So yes, the market lost, quote unquote, an option. Do I go to LCI or do I go to Lifecycle Manager? But I guarantee you our mutual desire is to make 1 + 1 = more than 2 here, and to expedite innovations and leverage each other's strengths and then move faster to provide more value to partners.
Well, and if you really look at our products, there is a 10 or 15% overlap. So that's such an unfair statement that the market lost an option.
Yeah.
It's not like Ford and Chevy merged. And now you have this would be more like Ford and Schwinn merged, and now people are like, hey, I lost an option. It's just not a thing. But Reddit will tell you otherwise, and that's just the world we live in.
So
Malcolm, when we'll be able to toggle. Yeah, sorry, so we take this very seriously. Prior to the announcement yesterday, we actually synchronized, we consolidated the billing. So billing and user management is the first one, and our team did a massive sprint in a very short period of time as we were getting towards to the announcement. So if we're going to lower prices even for existing partners who are using both products, you don't want two bills. So we amalgamated the billing, and obviously being able to toggle between, I would say, would be a very early feature request that we'll want to be able to provide, so you're not logging in and out of each other.
So you'll have a sign in through ScalePad. I've already kind of seen the mocks for that. So
We're going to call it multiple panes of glass into one large in one window.
Double paned window. Well, we're very excited, Dan. I thank you for joining the call today. And I'm glad everybody else joined as well. Any other questions for Dan?
I have a question.
Okay.
Is everybody else as excited as I am about the asset disposal thing? And would it make sense for us to have someone from ScalePad come back and talk to us just about that offering on a future call? And sorry, Dan, I should have told you I was going to throw you under the bus like this, but
that sounds fantastic. I love it.
Yep. I think it's super cool. I'm one of these folks who believes, somebody's got to live on this planet when I'm done with it.
Malcolm's ready. Just bring the truck, Dan.
I'm a fan of this one. So I'd love to have somebody come back, explain the intricacies. What do they have to be? What subscriptions do they have to be eligible for it? How does it all play into things? As we get more information, we'll be able to tell you how all of this is going to blend together. But I know there are some minimum subscription requirements and some things like that we got to get across. If you have questions about pricing or anything, the best step for you right now today is contact your account manager. If you don't know,
if you don't know, feel free to send it to Alex or me, and we will point you to the human that'll filter through all of that.
And if you need us to get on a call with them to talk through what you're doing and all the products you're using, like, this is what we're here for. So
I also want to say I appreciate all of the replies. My inbox was so full yesterday. Alex's inbox was so full yesterday. All of the social feeds, all of my text messages, all of the phone calls. I just want to say thank you to all of you.
It was very humbling. I will say that. So thanks for all the appreciation, guys.
I personally feel like it was a great matchup, especially after learning more about ScalePad. I hadn't really followed you guys for a while, but this was a good introduction to kind of understand what you guys have been doing. And the asset removal, oh my God, you're saving me. I got a large co-managed client with 2,000 users that says, hey, we want you to start doing asset disposal for us. And I'm already doing it for our 1,000, fully managed, that we've got a closet full of stuff that never gets emptied fast enough. And now I got this bigger client asking me, and I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? So I love that.
Well, thank you. Our goal is 50,000 trees this year, and my personal goal is 1 million. So I want to actually retire on 1 million trees planted after 25 years, or it'd probably be 30 years by then. But anyway.
I had some fun with the name confusion of the product from ScalePad being called Lifecycle Manager. My controller is like, yeah, we already paid for that. I was like, no, LCI is something different. And so I had to spend a little time just, pointing that out. But
I will. So I challenged, and Alex and I have joked about this together and had the conversation, but so we were known as Warranty Master, then we changed to ScalePad, but we hadn't gone multi-product yet. So the product name was still ScalePad. And then we had to pick a product name as we were building out the umbrella. And the product team came back with Lifecycle Manager. And I said, so answer me this. When I'm asked by a partner, when LCI Lifecycle Insights is in the marketplace, why we chose Lifecycle Manager, what is my answer to the marketplace? And their blunt answer to me was, that's what we do. We are a Lifecycle Manager product. So as much as it might fly in the face a little bit of what Lifecycle Insights does, they said, we need to stay to our core and what we do. And I said, Alex and Marty aren't going to be happy about it, I'm sure, but I bought into it. So yes, now it'll make this transition ultimately a little easier though, won't it?
Yeah, we'll have to stop poking fun at that one. Although I did wear my Warranty Master shirt today just for you guys.
Is there anything foreseen in the future in an integration with some sort of sales or quoting system for ScalePad and Lifecycle?
Oh, great question. Great question.
Yes. Slides in at the last minute and comes up with a good one.
I was on a fight with Kaseya, and so they delayed I really wanted to be on the call, and then I got hijacked.
It's so I will say that asset disposal is our partners right now at Lifecycle Manager are managing $23 billion worth of hardware assets globally. 23 billion. We're up around 14 million hardware assets under management. Look at that. The Warranty Master. Look at that old hat, Brian. Love it. So ultimately, yes, with the power of the QBR solution with LCI and those conversations, ultimately we're helping increase the transactions. Having an integration with a quoting tool makes a lot of sense. I will posit that.
That would definitely leave us to jump over and utilize it fully in every aspect of capacity.
Yep. Yeah, we did a lot around insights and initiatives, so you can actually approve initiatives inside of our product. So we were starting down that path, and this will be an exciting time to flush out that roadmap to final execution.
Yeah, and Brian tagged Control Map in the chat and just some of the other products. There will be a lot of conversations around those other products, guys. We'll get Control Map on one of these calls one day too to talk to you about what you do with the client when they've evolved beyond what you should be doing with them in lifecycle insights, instead of trying to stretch our tool into a place where it really wasn't designed to go. We now have a real logical extension there. The control map team is mobbed with onboardings and such since the announcement. So let's give those guys a few minutes. We'll give them 15 minutes to breathe, and we'll come talk about trees first. But we will commit to getting you guys, the control map guys, in here to talk about real GRC and what to do with clients that have real legitimate compliance obligations. So lots of stuff we can introduce you to.
Hope everybody has a good Friday and a great Friday. How's that? And a good weekend. And we will see you next week.
Have a great Easter.
Yeah,
everyone.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Thanks for hanging
You're
out.
Robin
Dan, come
Robbins
back
next week.
anytime.
Come
We'll
see
be
me.
here. We'll be here every Friday, same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't promise that, Alex.
Be careful. You never know.
You guys all know I'll say everything I'm going to say in front of him or with him not here. So
Alex, I have to say,
he might as well know what trouble he's in.
Alex, I have to say though, that's the least I've heard Mark talk on any of the meetings we've been in.
He was actually learning
Dan
something.
didn't mention Mark when he was talking about keeping everybody.
Happy Easter.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.